includes
Nesse vídeo, você vai aprender.
Hello friend, welcome back. In this video, I will start a new session. It's about how to build your RESTful API from scratch. So before you start this session, there have some of the prerequisites. Like first of all, you have to know the basic server setup with using that Express, which I have already shared that things with the live example. And also make that sure you install Postman software in your PC, which I have also shared that things with you, right? So make that sure you install that Postman because that will be needed. And you should know very clear idea about spread operator and destructuring. Make that sure you remember both of these rather than I have already created some of the video for this. Just simply go there and recap this all that lecture. And last thing, you should know different type of array method, which I have already discussed about that things with you, like as the array find method, find index method. This type of all that array method you should know. So if you already remember everything, then we are ready to start our this section as a RESTful API from scratch. So thanks for RESTful API. Or you can call it as a representational state transfer API. So that is one of the architecture. So with Flow this architecture, we can actually create some of the API. So for better understanding, you have to know that client server architecture. Like into this client server, there is a client and there is a server. Client means all that our web browser from where we send some of the requests to the server, and the server will find all the data and respond this data to the client. That means then that is actually visible in our website. So for maintain all the data in our server, there have some of the service provider, and this service provider called as API. And API means application programming interface. So with this API, we can actually create different type of API. So into the server, if you want to create some of the data, then you can create that with the create API. And then you can also create that another API for the read all the data from to the server if you want to update some of the data. And for the delete, you can also create some of the API. So in this section, we'll create this type of one of the total code application. So for creating all that API, they have some of the architecture. So nowadays, the most popular architecture is the RESTful API. So how can deal with it step by step? I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks one code application. And we develop this code application, you will learn how to design REST API. And here code application means that will be one of the application where we'll create some of the functionality for create, read, update data and delete data. So before I have already created one of the route handler. If you already remembered that part, we use that as a get method, right? So get method is used for read all the data from to the server. And also there is another method as a post method. Post method is used for create some of the data, and for the update data we'll use that put method or the patch method. And also there is another method as a delete method for delete some of the data from to the database. So all that method we'll use to build our code application. And into this update, there is a two type of method. One is the put method, another is the patch method, right? Put method is used for if you want to update total function, then you can use that put method. And patch method is used for if you want to update a specific some of the element, then you can use that patch method. So don't worry, step by step I will show you every method and you will learn everything by doing. So now let's start to develop our code application. I hope you will like it very much. So first of all, I want to create one of the server with using that Express, which I have already discussed about that things with you. And then also we will set up our Postman because both of these will be needed. So for doing this, I have created one of the folder as a REST API in my desktop. Just simply created one of the folder in your desktop as a REST API. Then simply take this folder in your editor, that is our Visual Studio Code editor, right? Simply go to that file, open folder, and into this desktop I have created this folder as a REST API. You can see there is a folder name. Simply select this folder. Now you can see it's not successfully added in here, which is totally fine. Now first of all we have to create one of the package. Remember here we have to create one of the package JSON. Like if you want to do that work, simply go to the view and then the terminal. So into this terminal, first of all, I want to create one of the package.json, right? If you want to create this package.json, then you have to write down as a npm, which I have already discussed about that things with you, then the init, right? And if you run this as a npm init, it will be provided some of the questions to you. So for the reasons here, I make it as every questions as yes, so dash and then y, right? Now if you click as a enter, now that will be created our file, that means our package.json file that will be created. Now you can see our package.json is now successfully created. And then I want to install all that our dependency. Like first of all, I want to install that express. So if you want to install that express, I hope you already know that will be as the npm install or I express, right? And that is our express. Now if you click as a enter, now that will be install our express in our system, right? It may take little time, better when it will be done, then I'll come back again. Now you can see our express is now successfully installed, and also it's created as a node module, the package.json. And also I want to install that nodemon. I have already discussed about everything. That will be the npm and then I and then nodemon, right? So that is a nodemon on the package, that is on the dependency. I make it as a -d. Now if you click as a enter, our nodemon package will be installed. As I told you, that will be very much helpful. Whatever the things you will be do in your code, automatically that will be re-executed your server, right? So this package actually work for this. Now it's installing, and when you install it, then also we have to update in our package, right? That will be just same process that I have done before. You can see it's now successfully installed. Now go to that our package.json. And into this package.json, I name it as a server. Okay, that will be as a server, and into the server area, that will be our file locations. First of all, that will be the nodemon. Okay, nodemon, and then that will be run our index file. Okay, here I want to create one of the new file. Simply go there. I want to create one of the index file, that will be index.js. Okay, so now I simply created our this index.js file. Now you can see our index.js file is now successfully created. I hope you already know about it. Now I just simply click as a save all, which is totally fine. And now we have to do, first of all, you have to create one of the connection, right? We have to create one of the server connection in our index.js. For doing this simple work that I have already done, that will be as a constant, right? That will be another constant variable. So I simply take that constant variable and then I name it as a express. Okay, whatever the name actually choose, right now I name it as the express. And now I want to input it, that means the require. I want to require our express module, that will be the express, right? I simply loaded this module. After that, we have to run our app. I take our constant variable and then app. Here we have to run our express, right? So that is our express. So now, as I told you before, that will be actually for create one of the express application. So here I simply create one of the express application and I name it as a app. Okay, I simply create it. Great. And after that, we have to load our server port. That means in our app, and then the listen, right? That is a listen, and our port name. Our port name, I want to use it as a 3000 port. Okay, 3000 port. And then I take one of the array function, and into this array function area, I want to display some of the message. Okay, which type of message that will be displayed in our console. So into the console, I want to display some of the message as a server. Okay, server is running. Okay, server is running at port. Okay, at port 3000. So this type of one of the message, then that will be displayed in our console log. I hope you already know about this part. Now I simply click as a save all. Our server created successful. Now I want to run our nodemon. So if you want to run this nodemon, we have to run as a npm run, and then I name it as a server. Now click as a enter. Sorry, spelling mistake, you can see. npm and then run server. Now click as enter. Now our server should be running. You can see our server is now successfully running, and also it displayed our message as the server is running at port 3000. So that is our console message now display in here. So now first of all, I want to create one of the basic route. Okay, if you want to create this basic route, I hope you already know with this app, and then I name one of the get method. Okay, so that will be one of the get method, and to this get method area here, first of all, we have to pass our route name. So our route will be as a slash means, as I told you before, I want to make it for our home page. Okay, so that is for our home route, and then we have to create one of the request handler. Into this request handler, that it should be passed to of this object parameter, right? One is the request and also another will be as a response. So I simply pass both of these and then our array function. Okay, in particular this function area, everything will be in here, right? Simple. I want to do from here, I want to pass some of the response. So there is a response, and I with the send method I want to pass some of the HTML tag value, like I name it as a hi. Okay, hi Aryan. Hi Aryan. This type of one of the message now that should be displayed in our home route, right? So if you want to check it, simple click as a save all. Okay, click as a save all. Server is now running, and our server port as a 3000. Now if you go and now if you run with the local host and localhost 3000, now you can see it's now display our message as a hi Aryan. So as I told you, we will not work in our browser, because in browser only you will get that as get method, but when you add that any post method, update method or the delete method, then you cannot actually do this work in browser, because in browser they have no form. For the reasons we will need that our Postman software. So I hope you already installed that Postman in your computer. Simply download, is totally free, one of the software. Simply download it and then install it. And after that install, when you run that Postman, you will get this type of one of the interface. And into this interface area, there is one of the collections. So if you want to create a different type of collection, you can create this collection in here rather than directly. You can actually access these things in here. So I share both of this with you. Like here I have already discussed about how to add that get method. There is a post method data, how to add some of the form, right? And also if you want to create that collection, then this project related everything, all that our request will be saved in here. Now that is a new collection. I simply created the new collection and just name it as a REST API. So this type of one of the collection I want to create. Now click as a create, our collection created successful. And here after that, if you go in particular this button area, and that is our add request. Okay, so for the add request I want to do for our home, I name it as a home page. Okay, because home page. So for the home page I want to save it. That is our home page name. Now click as a save to REST API. I simply save it, and now if you go, and now you can see there is a new one as a home. If you now open it, now you can see there is the same interface. As I told you, if you make it as a directly, you can create it rather than all that your REST API application related, everything I will save in our particular this collection area. Okay, so it will be helpful to find out a specific all that your request. Now simply I created one of the request, and now I want to access our this URL, right? If you want to access it, I copy it. And now that will be, I just simply added that request, and that is one of the get method. Here there is a get method, the post method, put method, patch method, and the delete method. Step by step I will discuss everything with you. Like first of all, right now there is a get method, and into this get method area, here I have passed some of the data, right? I have passed one of the send method area, I passed some of the string value as a hi Aryan. Now that should be displayed in our home directory, right? Now I have already saved it. Now if you go to that Postman, and now if you want to hit this API, let me see this URL. Now you can see it's now perfectly displayed as a hi Aryan. And also our status code, you can see there is a status code display as a 200. 200 means it's perfectly okay. Okay friend, so into this session we'll develop multiple requests, and all that request will save in our particular this collection as a REST API collection. Everything step by step will be very clear to you friend. In this section we'll actually create one of the simple code application as I told you, and that will be very easy one of the process, but that will be very much important. As I told you a lot of the time friend, just simply understand all that step by step basic core functionality. Laterally we'll go more deep, we'll create some of the advanced level project. I have a plan to create one of the live chat options, how can create that authentication. So laterally we'll create multiple advanced level project. For doing this you have to know that all basic concept friend. For the reasons in our this application, I want to right now solve some of the issues. First of all, I want to show all that our list of some of the product data. I want to show some of the specific product data, how can insert some of the product data, how to update a specific product data with using that put method. As I told you, for update there are the two method. One is the put method, another is the patch method. Okay, how can update some of the specific product data with the patch method. I will show you how can delete some of the specific data, and also how can delete all product data. So one by one, right now I want to solve all that issue. So for doing this, first of all, I want to add some of the data here. I don't want to use any database. Okay, I want to add some of the data with the array. I want to simply create one of the array as a constant. Okay, constant variable. I name it as a products. Okay, products. So this type of one of the products, and here I want to add on the array value. If you want to add some of the array value, I hope you already remembered that part. I just simply add like as ID. Okay, I simply take one of the property as ID, and then I want to pass on the value as a 1. Okay, so that will be as a 1 value. Okay, that will be as a 1 value, and then I want to take another property. I want to take another property as a name, and for the name I name it as a orange. Okay, I name it as a orange. Great. And also after that I take the price, another property as a price, and for this property I want to take another string value. Okay, I put on the string value as a 20. Okay, so that will be as a 20. Great. And also I want to add another one. Okay, better I copy it, and then the comma, I want to take another one that will be as a ID2, and that will be for the apple, and I pass some of the price as a 30. Okay, $30. And now I want to first of all, that is one of the array all that object data, right? Here now I want to get that or show the list all product. That means I want to get all that our product data. For doing this, I want to create another our route. So if you want to create this route, that will be same in our app, and then the get method, because I want to get all the data. For the reasons here, I'm actually using that get method, right? And I want to create one of the route. Our route name, I name it as a products. Okay, that will be our route name. And after that route, then also here we have to pass our handler, right? That means the request handler will be pass two of this parameter. One is the request, and that will be as a response. Okay, I hope you already remembered that part. And then that is our array function. Into this array function area, now I want to pass all that our data. So here we have to do, that is on the object data. First of all, we have to convert it to the JSON data, right? If you want to display this all that data in our Postman, we have to pass it with the JSON data. So if you want to change it as a JSON data, I have already discussed about that things with you. That is our response. Response will be as a JSON, right? And JSON, and right now all that our array data in our which place, right now all that our array data in our these products. Now I want to copy it and simply pass it in here. Right now all that our array data will be changed to the JSON format data. And also there is a product. So before product, I want to pass it as a /API. Okay, I make it as a /API, and then that will be as a products. Then that will be actually better. I want to simply pass it. I want to get all that our data, click as a save all. Our server is now successfully running. And now if you go to that Postman, into this Postman area, I want to create another new request. Okay, I want to create another add request, and I just name it, that will be for show list, right? I name it as a show list product. I copy it, and then I name it as a show list. Whatever the name actually choose for better understanding, I just name it as a show list. Now click as a save this request API. Now you can see that now there is another one is visible, that is on a get method. So if you want to access it, first of all we have to add that as the same local host. I copy it, so that will be the local host, and after that local host I name it as a API and then the product, right? I copy it, and then that will be as a API and then the products. So now that is one of the get method, because here I have named it on the get method, right? Now if you click as a send, now you can see it's now successfully get all that our JSON data. So right now there is a 2 ID data, and also there is our 1 ID data, and also our status as a 200. That means it's totally fine. I hope friend you get some of the idea how to get all the data. Right now I have already created some of the array data. Right now we successfully get all the data. Okay, so that is our first work as a show list of product. So I successfully get all that our list product. So now list product is visible. Okay, so in our next video I want to discuss about our another part that will be the show a specific product. Okay, how can do that work? In our next video I will show you that things with a live example. We successfully they have some of the array data, and they have one of the ID1, that is some of the ID2. How can get all the data, how can visible it into the Postman. I hope it's very much clear to you. Now in this video I want to work for our another features. Okay, our another features that will be as a show a specific product. Like right now there is a two ID as a one ID 1 and another one as a ID 2. So if you want to get that as ID 2 data, then with this ID we'll get it, rather than if you add that as a one ID data, then that will be get our one ID data. Okay, if you want to do that work, right now better I copy it, that will be just like that same, and here that is our show a specific product. So for the show a specific product, that is our API, and then I name it as a products, and after that product that should be also one of the ID, right? If you want to pass it like that will be as a one ID rather than that will be as a two ID, or if you want to make this part as a dynamic, then you have to only pass one of the ID like that colon, and then that will be as a ID. Okay, so then that will be as a ID. Here right now our this ID is totally dynamic. So that is one of the query parameter. Okay, that is one of the query parameters. So now with this parameter, that is our return, that is a request and then response. Now we have to do in our response area. So better I remove it. So now into the response area, first of all we have to get that our query parameter. So if you want to get this query parameter, then that will be as a send method again. Into this send method area, that is our request, right? That is our request, and into this request, that is our param. Okay, that is a params. Which things you want to get? I want to get that from our query parameter, I want to get that ID. Simple work, I simply get that ID by this request and then the params, and then that is our ID, and this ID means this requested ID. Okay, first of all I want to check it into the postman. If you now click as a save all, and now that will be our total URL, right? Now go to that postman, but I want to create another request. Simply add request, and I just name it, that will be as a show a specific product. Okay, I name it as a show a specific product. That is our name. Now click as a save all. Now that will be our new one. So into this area, first of all, our same URL, I simply copy it, and then I paste it. So that will be also one of the get method, and into this get method area here, first of all I want to check our ID. Okay, that means after that products, here I have already take it, that is our products, and then that is our ID, right? So if you want to get that ID, that is after that product, I want to get as a 2. Now click as a enter. Now that should be displayed as a 2. You can see it's now successfully get that as a 2 ID. And if you want to get that as a 1, now click as a enter. Yeah, it successfully get that as a 1 ID. Now we have to do with our 1 ID, we have to get our total 1 ID related all the data. So if you want to do that work, first of all, here that is our total requested ID. So better I want to do, I will take this requested ID with one of the variable. Okay, like here I take one of the variable as a constant variable, that is a constant, and I pass that that is one of the dynamic ID, right? So here I will do the curly bracket, I pass that ID, and this ID will be our requested param ID. So I make it as a requested params. Okay, so I simply take it in this position as a ID. Great. So now what exactly we have to do? First of all, that is all the data in this array, right? I have take the things with this product. Now we have to search it. That is a ID should be searched, and also there is another one, ID 2 will be searched, right? For doing this, I want to do here right now I close it, and I want to make it as a take another variable as a constant variable, and I just name it as a product. Okay, name it as a product. So now with this product, I have already get all that our array data. So that is the same process I have already done before. That is everything in our products, right? All that our array data. Here I want to add that our find method, right? With this find method, here right now I pass our product. Okay, I name it as a product, whatever the name actually choose, and then here it should be check. It should be check our this product. Okay, it should be check our product ID equal our requested ID is match or not. It means, I hope you understand, I have already get all that our array data, that is our products, right? So that is our products, and into this product I have already put on the find on the products name, and these products will be our products related ID. That means that is actually our array related, and this ID it should be check our requested ID. Requested ID means that will be our requested ID. Here whatever the ID will be passed in here, that will be our requested ID. Okay, when that will be equal our requested ID, it should be get this data and take the things with this variable as a product. Okay, and here if you want to add some of the condition, you can also add some of the conditions, like I put on the if condition. Okay, I put on the if condition if there have no match with our product. That means here I have already get all that our specific when that will be match. This match product, I take the things with this variable. So right now with the exclamator, that means when that will be not match. Okay, when it will be not match, I want to do and to return. I want to return, you can pass on the response, that is a response area. If that means if this not get perfect data, then that should be display one of the 404 message, right? So that is our the 404 message means that is our status. You can see when everything is work successful, by default that is display as a status as a 200, rather than when that will be not matched, then I want to do and to change that status as a 404. If you want to do that work into the response area, you can actually pass it. That will be the response and then status. And status area I want to do and to pass as a 404. Okay, I simply pass it. And also here we have to pass some of the JSON data, because that will be only supported that JSON data. I simply pass one of the JSON data in here. Like here I pass it as an error. Okay, I name it as an error. And into this error property I want to do and to pass some of the name, that will be as a no product. Okay, no product found. Okay, no product found with this ID. So this type of one of the error message that will be display. Okay, and else I want to do and to make it as a simply return. I want to return our response data. That is a response data. First of all, we have to convert it to the JSON format data. So there is a JSON format here. When that will be get a specific data, I take the things with this variable and here I pass it. So that is one of the object carry data. So here also we have to make it as a JSON format data. For the reasons our response will be as a JSON. Okay, I hope every part is very much clear to you. Simple work here. I have simply put on the condition. Now let's check this out. Click as a save all. So when that will be not match, when it will be not get any ID, then that should be display our this message as a no product found with this ID. Now let's check this out. Here I want to do and to pass like this type of the ID here that is not exist in our array, right? Into this array there have only two data. One is the ID 1, another is the ID 2. Now if you click as a send, that is on the get method, yes, you can see it's now display our error message as a no product found with this ID, and our status code you can see it's now successfully updated as a 404 not found. Okay, so that is the status code I have passed from here. That is a status code as a 404. You can see it's now successfully now updated this status code. And right now if you make it as a 2, okay, that means if you make it as a 2 ID, now click as a send, yes, it's now perfectly get that our 2 ID, name as apple and price as a 30. If you want to make it as a 1 ID data, it will be check it, now send it. You can see it's now successfully get it. Okay, simple work. It will be check our array data, and when that will be matched with our requested ID. Requested ID, that is actually our requested ID. Okay, it will be check our this ID, and when that will be matched, then that will be get this data. Okay, how much easily we complete this part, how can get some of the specific product. I hope it's very much clear to you. In our next video, I want to work another one as insert a product. How can do that work in our next video? I will show you that things with a live example. I hope it's very much clear to you. Now in this video, I want to discuss about that insert a product data. Okay, so if you want to insert some of the data, like in your postman, into this postman, better I want to create another request. I simply click as a add request and I just name it as a insert. Okay, insert a product. I copy it. That will be our request name as insert a product. Now click as a save REST into the REST API. That is our insert a product. So if you want to insert any product, now that should be one of the post method, right? So that is our post method. And after that here, that will be one of the URL. And then if you go to that body, into this body from here, that is one of the form, into this form area, you can also insert it. Before I have already discussed about that things with you. Rather than there is also another one as a row. So here I want to add another name, like here first of all that will be curly bracket, and to this curly bracket I name it that will be as a name. Okay, I name it as a name. Our name will be that is on the JSON data. For the reasons here I am right now write down that things like that way, and I just name it as a banana. Okay, So I name it as a banana. And for the banana, I want to add another one. I want to add another one as a price. Price will be, I want to make this price will be as a 60. Okay, that is a 60. So before pressing that send, I want to create our URL. Right here we have to create this URL. So if you want to create this URL, simply go there. So I want to do simply I create one of the route for this, that will be as app, right? App, and then I name it as, that will be one of the post method, because I want to post this data, right? Our route name I make it as the API, and then the product. Okay, product or products, whatever you choose, I make it as a products. And then we have to pass that our request handler. Into this request handler, there is a 2 parameter. One is the request and also another is the response. I simply add both of these, then our array function. So that is our function. So into this function, that is all that our value. Before I have already discussed about that things with you. You have, if you want to get that any data, then we have to get it by the body, right? That is a request to our body. So I want to pass that our response first into the response, and with the send method. Into the send method area, I want to pass that our request. Okay, that will be requested our body. So right now all that our array row data that is into this body. Okay, that means our requested body, all the data in here. So if you want to pass it, also we have to add on the middleware, right? Because here we have to use that as a parser. With this JSON parser, we have to actually pass this data. For the reasons, I name it as a app. I create one of the middleware. I hope you already remembered that part. I have already discussed about that things with you. That will be our express. That means our express, and into this express there is a JSON. Okay, I simply call that our JSON. Perfect. So now I want to save it. Click as a save all. I want to check it. Right now our URL will be as the API and then products, right? I want to go better. I copy it. I copy the total things, and then here I simply paste it. That will be the API and then products our URL, and then that will be another post method, and here I pass as a name and then price. So now if you click as a send, now you can see it's not display any data. It's because of all right now you can see there is a type as a text, right? So that is one of the JSON data I want to insert. So for the reasons here, make that sure you have to make it as a JSON data. Okay, now that should be work. Right now that is our total URL here. Now that should be stored this data. If you go, and now that is our JSON. Now click as a send. Yes, you can see now it successfully add that name, and also it successfully add that our price. So now friend, I want to add our this data. Okay, I want to add this data in our array. That means in our array, that is actually all the products, right? Here I want to add it. But there have one of the issue. I have already insert two of these things. I have insert that name, I have insert the price. But right now there have also ID, right? We have to generate one of the ID. So you can generate some of the ID with another npm package as a UUI. If you go to that Google, and if you search with the UUI, okay, UUI ID. So that is a UUID npm. If you search with this, now that is simply go there. Okay, simply go there. That is our another npm package. You can see first of all here you have to install it, and there is a installation all that code. And if you want to access it, first of all you have to import it, and then you have to use it. Then automatically that will be generated one of the ID. So if you want to install that package, there is also the total command line. I simply copy it, and now go to our project. Our one terminal is now running. Better I want to open another terminal. Okay, or new terminal. I simply open that new terminal, and here and we want to paste it as npm install UUID. Now click as enter. Now that will be installed with UUID in your system. You can see it's successfully installed. And now we have to use it. So if you want to use it here, there is a simple things. I simply copy it, and now we have to first of all we have to use it. I copy it, and now if you go in our index, so into this index after this express, I want to paste it. Okay, that will be inputted as a v4 UUID before from UUID. I have already installed that UUID. That means right now it will be get this data, and with this we can actually display it. So now I simply cut it. Okay, I cut it, and then in our method, that is our total JSON data, right? Here, that is our requested. So in particular, that position, I have already get all that our data. That is a body data means what? Body data means that is actually our body data, right? So into this body area, if you want to access that name, you can access this name. If you want to access that price, you can also access that price. So everything in our body. That means right now I want to do, okay, here I want to add one of the object. First of all, I take one of the constant variable. Everything will be very clear, like I name it as a product. So that will be one of the variable name, and here I want to create one of the object. Okay, I will simply create one of the object, and here first of all that will be our ID, right? Our ID property, property that will be automatically generated with our this UID before, that is our method. So with this it will be generated this ID. Okay, and also after that I want to take our another one that will be as a name, and name that will be which one? Name will be our, that is the name, right? So if you want to access it, everything in our this body, everything in our this requested body, right? That means that will be our request. There is a request, and then the body, and body I want to access that our property as a name. Okay, same as if you want to get that as a price. So that will be the price, and for the price I want to do that will be in our request, and the body, and then the price. I hope, friend, it's very much clear to you. Here we have successfully generated our product. Now we have to push it, right? We have to push it in our which position? We have to push it in our this array, right? So that is our array, our this array name as a product. So here I want to now push our this product. So I simply click as a copy, and now after that is very easy, all that process. I hope you understand. That is our products, right? So into this products area with the push method, I want to push our which data? I want to push our new data that I have inserted. It will be generated one of the unique ID. I have already get that requested body name, requested body price. So that is our requested body name and then price. So it will be get all the data, and now it will be push in our here. Okay, that means in our products area it will be push all that our data. I simply loaded that things in here. And for the response, now I want to pass our this total data. Simple work. Right now I want to do, I simply pass it. So that will be as a return, and into the return that is our response, and into this response that will be obviously one of the JSON format data. So I make it as a JSON. Our JSON data will be which one? Our this one, right? I have take that things with this variable. Now I simply pass it. Okay, friend. Now if you click as a save all, I simply save all and make that your server is running. So our server, and that is our server, right? You can see there is actually another one, and that is our server. So here it show as a Nodemon app crashed. Wait for the file changes before starting. Better I want to close it. Okay, close it, and also I close it. I want to run it again. Now click as open and go to the terminal. And now here if you want to run this server, then that will be as a npm run server. Now click as enter. So now they have some of the error as a Nodemon crash waiting for the file changes before. What exactly that issue? Cannot use input statement outside of this module. Okay, so here they have some of the issues. Here there is input this one from the UID. Okay, here it's actually get some of the issues. That means here, so here that is actually the inputted that things in here. If you go, there is a create UID, and also there is another one as using the command JS is syntax. You can see there is also another one. Better I want to use this one. I simply copy it, and our function will be the same. I simply copy this one. I copy it. Now I want to change it. Okay, here I paste it. Now let's check this out. If you now click as a save all, yeah, you can see right now our server is now successfully running. Great. So they have no issues. So make that sure you use that as a constant. This one, okay, this one you just simply use it as or using that command JS syntax. So that is for the US6 module syntax, and that is our command syntax. So now I want to use that as a command syntax, and right now everything is great. Okay, now let's check this out. If you now go to our postman, into this postman, that is our total API. Here now I want to post it again. Now click as a send. Yes, you can see now it's successfully generated one of the ID, and it successfully generated the name and then the price. So now I want to check it. It's successfully inserted or not. If you want to check it, I have already created one of the get method for get all the data. You can see that is our API and then products as a get method. So before that was as a one ID and then two ID. Now I want to check another one is successfully added or not. If you now click as a send it again. Now there is our 1, there is a 2, yes, you can see now there is a new data is now successfully inserted. So right now friend, I am actually inserted everything into the array. Here I didn't use any database. Literally I will add some of the database. We'll go more deep. Don't worry about it. Just simply understand all that step-by-step process, how I deal with it, because everything is interconnected. Everything will be needed. Okay. So here also now we are successfully complete our another features as the insert a product data, which is totally fine. And then there is also another one is a specific data update in with the using the put method, the patch method is delete data, delete all data. Okay. Step by step I will cover everything with the live example. Here I inserted that things like if you go to our API and there is a post on of the method, right? That is our URL, and into this URL there is a body row, and here I pass that name, and then there is our value, and there is a price, and also there is our another value. So if you want to check it, like I just make it like that way, right? Here if you want to add some of the validation, like here in our name property area, that should be one of the string, and into the price that should be one of the number. So if you want to add that validation, and also if you want to make it as a maximum number, minimum number, if you want to add multiple validation, you can actually do that work with using another npm package as a joy package. So it's very much important, one of the part, make that sure you understand it. Like if you go to that Google and if you search, right now we don't need this, I have already installed that UI. If you search with the joy, okay, joy, joy npm is very much popular, one of the package. If you go to that their official site, there is our npm site, into the packages, here there is a joy, you can see there is a joy, and you can see weekly download how much is very popular, as I told you. So first of all, here if you have to do, if you want to use it, you have to install that npm joy install, and also there is a documentation and API. If you go to that documentation, so how that is actually work, like here if you want to working with this joy, here first of all you have to create one of the schema, and into this schema there is one of the object. Okay, here that is they're actually using that joy and object method. With this object method you can create some of the object, and into this object they have some of the key as a username key, another one is a password, and then the repeat password, access token. Okay, and into the right side they have some of the constant. Okay, into this constant area you can see there is a constant, it's making that as a, that should be as a string, and that is will be as alpha number, that will be as a minimum character, maximum character. If you want to make this field as a require, then you can require it with this. Okay, so that is all that our requested key, that means what data actually I pass it, so that is all that our requested key, and that is will be all that our constant value. Okay, so when it should be get appropriate all the data, it should be passed two of these things, like there is a validate. With this validate it should be pass all that our value, rather than if you get any error it should be pass your error message. Okay, now I want to better I show that things with our live example with our this project. Okay, that means here I have passed some of the value. So now with this value area, if you want to add some of the validation, how can do that work, I show you. For doing this, first of all we have to install our this package as npm install joy. I simply copy it, and now if you go to our project, our terminal, one terminal is running, better I want to run another new terminal, and to this terminal area I want to install as npm install joy. Now if you click as a enter, it will be install this. You can see it's now installing. It's very light one of the package. You can see it's now successfully installed, and also our server is now running. Okay, our server is now running. So first of all we have to import it. Okay, that means in our here, after that, okay, after that I want to import this joy. So I make it as a constant. Okay, I make it as a constant, and that will be one of the class. For the reasons I make it as a first letter as a capital character, and then that will be as a joy, and joy I name it. That means here I want to require it. That was required. I want to load this module or module name as a joy. Okay, I simply import it. Now I want to do, that is one of the class. Here with this I want to create one of the schema. Okay, here that is our post method. So that is all that our post data, right? So into this post method area here I want to first of all take one of the schemas, that will be constant schema. So that is a schema. I simply create one of the schema, and here we have to create one of the objects. So if you want to create it, that will be with the joy. With this joy, I want to load that our object method, that is one of the joy object method. And into this object method area, now I want to pass two of this our key name as a name, and also another one as a price, right? So that is a two object I want to add some of the validation for our two of this key. Okay, that is a name and then price. So what type of validation you want to add? Like I want to do our name. Our name will be one of the string type. So here if you want to do that work, that will be as a joy. So with this joy, I want to make it as a string. Okay, that will be one of the string type. And also after that, I want to take another validation as a minimum character, that should be as a 3. Whatever the name actually choose. Right now I make it as a minimum character, should be as a 3. And if you want to make that as a maximum character, then you can also add it as a maximum character will be as a 20. That will be supported. And also I want to make it as a required. Okay, required. I simply make it as a required. So with this required method, I make this field as a required. Great. And for the price I want to do, and that will be the same as a joy. Okay, with this joy I want to make it as a, that will be as a number type. Okay, so for the reasons here I load that as a number and I make it as a required. So there is a simple two of this validation I added for our both of this key as a name and then the price. Now I want to validate our which data. I want to validate our this API data. So this API data means where? That will be in our body, right? Before I have already, you can see there is a requested body. We get that our key name as a name and then price. So now I want to do here, I want to add that validate. So that will be as a constant. I take that constant, I name it as a result. Okay, whatever that variable you name. So that is our scheme. There is a schema, and into this schema area I want to use that as a validate one of the method. I simply loaded this validate, and this validate will be in our which, that will be the request, right? That will be the requested body. Requested body, all the data that will be validate. Okay friend, I hope it's very much clear to you. So better I want to do and to show you, then everything will be more clear. Right now I make it as a comment out. Okay, total part I make it as a comment out. I want to do and to display our this result. I copy it, and here I want to do and to pass it. That means I have to return it. Okay, return, and then the response, that is one of the response, and then the JSON. Into the JSON area I want to pass out this result. Now that will be very much clear to you. So I simply pass it. Now I first of all check it, it's perfectly get all that our validation or not. Like if you now click as a save all, our server is now running, go to that API. Now I want to send this data again. You can see everything is great. But right now I want to do here that is a minimum character as a 3, right? I make it as a 1. So now if you click as a send, now you can see it's now successfully loaded, but here that is display one of the error. Okay, you can see it's now display on the error message as a name, a length must be at last 3 characters long. So now that is display like that way, like there is an error and then the details and then that is a message, right? Into the message that is our 0 index. So if you only want to display this message, you can also display it where I show you. Then you have to do into the body. Okay, here I want to do and to put on of the condition, if condition, if there have any error. Okay, so I make it as a error. If there have any error, I want to return our response status, that is our response, and response our status, response status, that will be as a 400. I make it as a 400. Great. So that, and then that will be our JSON data. So I make that JSON data area. Here I want to pass that our message. So I name that our, here if you go that is that our message, right? So I want to update this message. I only display this message, so that will be as a message, and message will in our which place, message in our, first of all that will be in our error, right? Error, and into this error that is the details, and then that is our first index message I want to visible. Okay, so for the reasons here, first of all we have to use that as a error, then that will be as a details, and then our first index message that I want to visible. So here simple work, I make it as a error, error, sorry, here that will be error. I make it as a error, and then that will be as a details, right? Details. So make sure your spelling is correct, because that is actually our path name. So that is our details. I copy it better and I make it as a error details. And into this details, first index. First index means what? That means our 0, right? So that is our first index. First index, our which field data, that is a first index message data I want to visible. So now I want to do after that, that will be as a message. Okay, I simply pass it our first index message data. Right now we don't need this. I close it, and also I make it as an uncomment. Okay, now I want to check it. Now that should be display only our error message. Okay, now that should be display only that error message. Let's check this out. If you now click as a save all, server is now running, go there. So right now I make it as a same, they have some of the error. Now click as a send. Now it's display our total HTML file. References error is not defined. Here I didn't pass. You can see there is a result, right? Here I pass that as a result. So now I want to pass that our, so that will be as an error. Okay, so for the reasons you can see that is actually not defined. Now I want to pass that error. Now that should be okay. Now click as a save all. Now they have some of the error because that is a minimum character should be as a 3. Now click as a send. You can see now it's only displayed that our error message as a name must be, that is a length must be at last 3 characters, right? And here if you pass that as a string value, like I copy it and I pass on the string value because that should be as a numeric value, right? Now click as a send. Now it's get that our first one, better I make it first one as this name. Now click as a send. Yes, you can see now it's display our another message as a price must be a number. Okay, I have already put this type of on the validation because here I make this, you can see that is a, or this field, that this key will be as a number type. For the reasons it's actually display our this error. Okay, price must be a number. How can display this type of one of the validation? How can do that work? I hope friend it's very much clear to you. But when you pass that appropriate everything, okay, if you pass the appropriate name as a mango, now I make it as a mango. Okay, mango, and then that will be price, that will be obviously on the number type. I make it as a 50. Okay, I make it as a 50, and then if you click as a send, yes, you can see it's now successfully stored this data. And if you want to check it, go to that our show method. Now click as a send. Now that should be another one. You can see there is another one is added successfully. There is a mango, price 50, everything is great. Okay, so if you want to add some of the validation in your row, then how can do that work? So that is a simple process you have to follow. You have to create one of the schema. You have to add all that your validation. So you will get all that references. As I told you, make that understand their documentation. So into this documentation, everything is in here. Okay, so that everything is in here. So remember this package. So that is very much popular of the package as a joy package. Okay, how can I add some of the validation with this joy package? I hope it's very much clear to you. Update method. So into this update, there is the two method. One is the put method, another is the patch method. So as I told you, when you update like as a product information, if you want to update all that information, then you can actually use that as a put method. But when you update a specific some of the things for this product, then you can actually use that patch method. So in this video, I want to discuss about that put method. Laterly in our next video, I will discuss about the patch method. Now let's do that work. For doing this, first of all, I'm going to create one of the route for this. That will be as a app, and then our put method. Okay, I make it as a put method. So that is our put method. And into this area, I want to declare one of the route. I name that as the API. Okay, API, and then the products. And also we have to update with a specific some of the ID, right? So if you want to update this ID, then we have to use that as a ID. That will be dynamic ID. I simply pass it. I hope you already remember that part. We have already done it. Now that will be our request handler. That will be as a request, right? That will be as a request, and also another one as a 2 parameter as a response parameter. Simply I take it. That is our array function, and here now we have to work. So now first of all, I want to create one of the request. I better copy it. Now go to our API, that means Postman. Into this Postman, I want to create another new request as a add request, and I just name it as a update a specific product, or rather than I make it as a put. Okay, for a better understanding, I make it as a put. Now click as a save. Now that is our save. Great. So here what exactly I want to do, I want to update it. Like if you go to our show get method, here I have already get all that our data, right? There is a id1 name, and there is id2, and then id, that is our another id, right? It's automatically generated one of the id. So I want to update a specific one id data. Okay, so if you want to update that specific one id data name and then price, so both of this now want to update. Okay, if you want to update this, better I copy it, and now that is our update. Here I make it, that will be as a put method. Okay, into this put method, if you go to that body and then the row, and then here I want to simply pass it. Okay, that will be as a two things, one is the name and another is the price. So I want to update as a name, like right now as a orange update. Okay, I want to update this name as a orange update, and I update that value will be as a 200 right now. Okay, so a specific one id, this data I want to update. Perfect. And also there is another JSON format data. For the reasons here we have to make it as a JSON. Okay, so that is our JSON. Perfect. And then our URL, I have already done this, our URL, that will be the API and then products, then the ID, right? So I want to do better here, I copy it. Okay, copy total route, so that will be our total route, and there is the API and then the products, and make that sure spelling correct as API products, API and then the products, and then I want to update which ID, I want to update that one ID, right? So for the reasons here we have to pass that as a 1. So now if you click as a send, then that should be executed. So now we have to work for this, we have to code some of the things in here. So here first of all I want to add some of the validation that I have already done before. Here you can see I have already done some of the validation. So now better I copy it. I simply copy everything. For our insert product I have already added that our validation, right? Now I copy it. Now I want to access it in here. So after that I paste it. Okay, I simply paste it in particular that position. So that is our ended one, and I put on the semicolon. Great. So that is our first validation. It will be check all that validation. If there have any issues, then that will be display all that our error message, right? I hope it's very much clear to you. And now after that we have to check, right? We have to check all that things in our array. So if you want to check it, like better I take another variable as a constant variable, I name it as an index, and into this index, that is the same procedure. I have already get all that our data, that means our array data in our which variable, that is in our products, right? So into this products area, now I want to check it at the same procedure. Now we have to check it with the find index method. So with this find index method, I want to check our this database table field as ID, when that will be matched with our requested ID. Okay, that is our requested ID. When that will be matched, then I want to update. Simple work. Okay, now that is our products. So that is our array data. I want to access it right now. There is index and the products, and into this products now to use that as a find index method. Okay, so into this find index method area, here I want to pass that our product. Okay, product, and then that will be on the callback function. I want to simply call it, and that will be our product. There is a product ID, right? The product ID means what? That is in our array that have also one of the ID. So that is actually our product ID. When this product ID will be matched with our requested ID, that means equal. Our requested ID means what? Our requested ID means our this ID, right? So if you want to access our ID, that is in our params, right? That means here we have to get it by the request, and then the params. So that is requested params ID. So we get this ID in here. Okay. When that will be matched, I want to then it should be successfully get this data, rather than if there have any issues, it should be return one of the -1 value. Okay, if you didn't get any data, like I say, if you search anything which is not exist, then that will be actually return one of the -1. So I want to do with this -1, I want to add another condition. I put one of the if condition. Okay, I simply added that if condition, and that is our condition. Into this if condition area, when our index, because I have already taken it into this index, when this index will be equal -1. Okay, when it will be as a -1, I want to return response another as a 404 value. That means that will be return our response status code. I want to pass it as a 404. Okay, 404. I simply pass it, and then I want to make it as a JSON data. So I simply loaded that some of the JSON data area. I want to pass on the message. Okay, I have already discussed about that, the message of functionality. So our message will be what? Our message will be as a product is not found, okay, with this ID. So this type of one of the message, then that will be display. Okay friend, I hope it's very much clear to you. So as I told you, when it will be find it with our find index method, it will be checked. That is our product ID. Product ID means our array, right? I have already get all that our array data into this array. That is one of the ID as a product ID. Okay, here if you go to that our get, so that is actually our array ID. So that is our array ID. It should be matched with our requested ID. Okay, so that is actually our requested ID. When both of these will be matched, and then that will be get all the data, rather than it will be return one of the -1. So for the -1, it will be return -1 in here. Okay, I will show you that it will be displayed in here as a -1. So when it will be get that -1, I want to make it as a return status as a 404, and that will be as a JSON format data. Into the JSON area, I want to pass on the name as a product is not found in with this ID. Okay, product, that will be the PRODUCT, product is not found with this ID. That type of one of the message, then that will be display. Rather than when it will be perfectly get this data, then I want to simply update it, right? Here we have to update both of these. So I have get everything in our index, that means in our products. So that will be our product. So into the product, that is our index area. So here I want to take it as an index, right? That is our index. So into this index, I want to access that name. Our name should be updated, or that means that is our in our body area, that will be updated. That is our request, and into this request, that is our body, and then into the body area, our name will be updated. And same as for our price. So I have already get every data in our index, right? So that is the index, and into this index, I want to access that our price. Price will be same, our requested a body, and then price. Okay, price. I simply updated both of these in here. So that is our total data. I take the things with this index. So now there is our index array name, and then price will be updated. Okay, and now we have to also change it. We have to make it as a JSON format data. So if you want to make this JSON format data, then that will be as a return, and in the return, our response will be what? Our response will be as a JSON format, right? So that is our JSON format, and into the JSON format area, I name it as a product. Okay, product. Our product value will be what? Our product value will be our this products index. Okay, so that means that then that will be updated in here. Perfect. So that's all you have to do. Now I want to check it. Click as a save all. Okay, click as a save all, and first of all I want to check our first validation. Okay, if there have any, it's not get that as any data. That means when our ID will be not found, then that will be returned as a -1. When it should be displayed as a -1, then our message should be displayed. Okay, now let's check this out. That is our put method. Like right now I make it as a 14 something. So this ID is not exist, right? So this ID is not exist. Now if you click as a send, now it shows some of the error as schema is not defined. Okay, schema is not defined. Maybe if you go, that is our product that is a specific update for the put method. You can see there is a schema, and then validate, and also I copy it from here, right? I copy it from to this position. That is our show specific product, insert product, right? So from to this insert, that is our another schema. Okay, so I want to create another function. So with this function we can actually right now, that is I call it into the two places. So with this function I want to actually call it, then that will be better, right? Then we can actually use it very easy way. So after this I want to take another function. Okay, I want to create another function. I just name that function as a validation. Okay, validation. I simply pass that validation into the validation area. I want to pass all that our body data, right? Because it should be validated in our body. I pass on the parameter in here, and then I want to simply take all that our common code. Okay, that means right now from our insert, from to the insert, I want to actually take it. That is our schema, and that is a return. I simply copy total things from here, and now I want to add it. Okay, I want to add it into this function area, that is a validation, And here right now I want to do to simply return it. Okay, here we don't need this. I want to do and to return our total validate function. So I make it as a return. I simply return this schema validation. Great. And in our this request right now we don't need any request. That will be our body. Okay, so I simply close it. So that will be our body. So I get all that our validation code in our this function name as a validation function. Now we can actually call only this validation function. Everything will be in here. I only want to do and to call this validation. Okay, so now I copy it, and now I want to do and to update this first of all in our insert product. Okay, into the insert product here. Here I want to take that things in here. I take one of the constant variable as a constant, and here I pass that one of the error. Okay, I pass that as an error, and into this error area I want to call our method name as a validation method, and into this method area now that will be our requested body. Okay, that means that is our request and then requested body. I simply take the things in here. Right now everything in our this validation method right now we don't need this. Okay, and I simply remove everything from here. Okay, simply remove everything from here. Now that will be only one line. Okay, that is simply now one line as a constant, and then error, and then validate request. Okay, now I want to do and to call these same things. Right now we don't need this. I copy it right now from our product insert. I copy it, and now if you go our this part, here you can see before I did this thing like that way, now I simply paste it. Okay, now that will be like that. So I simply call our method name as a validation method. Now that should be work perfect. Now click as a save all. Okay, now click as a save all. See if there have as a minus. If you didn't get that any ID, then that should be displayed out this message, right? Now go to our postman again, and there is update. I don't need this. Now click as a send. Yes, you can see it's now successful. It's now perfectly get our message. Right now this ID is not exists. For the reason system display as a product is not found with this ID. Okay, that means our this first validation is successfully working. And now I want to update it. So if you want to update, like here, I also want to check that validation when that will be empty. Okay, then what exactly that will be do. Now click as a send. Yeah, you can see it's also successfully get our another error as a price is required. Okay, here I make both of these field as a required. For the reasons you can see it's also successfully working. Great. Now I want to update. I want to update our like as a one ID data. Now that should be updated as a orange one. So if you want to update it, then that will be, I want to pass that our ID as a one ID. Okay. So into this one ID, now that should be updated as a orange update, and then 200 before that was as a 20, and then the orange. Now let's check this out if everything okay. Now that should be updated. Click as a send. You can see it's now successfully updated. There is a product ID 1. Now this name is our orange update, and price is 200. If you go to again our get method, now click as a send. Yes, you can see it's now successfully updated. Okay friends, so here we both of this our field is updated. How can do that work? I hope every part is very much clear to you. And also we successfully check our all that validation and how can display this validation message. I hope you understand it. Okay, now great. So now we successfully done that our put method. So with this put method we can update our specific some of the ID. In our next video I want to discuss about our another features, how can working with the patch method. The same things here. I want to update some of the specific product data using that patch method. So for doing this, our procedure will be just like that same. First of all, I want to create one of the URL for this. That is, it will be one of the patch method. Okay, so that will be as a patch. So there is a patch method, there is app URL, and our endpoint will be what? Our endpoint will be as a API, and then I name it as the same as a products. Okay, products, and after that also we have to pass one of the ID, because I want to update a specific some of the ID data, right? And then our request handler here, that will be two of this parameter. One is the request parameter, and another is the response parameter. Then our functional array here we have to work. Right? Great. So first of all, I want to do for access our this URL, I want to create another request in our postman. Simple create one of the new request, click as the add request, and I just name it as the update. Okay, update with patch. So patch method. So this type of one of the name, so that will be as a patch method. So I simply create it. Great. So now successfully created. Now that is our another one. So right now insert, I don't need this, I remove it. That is our specific ID, we don't need this. And then also home, I remove it. Okay, I make it as a clean. Right now there is a put method. So into the put method, before I update both of this data, right? So now I want to update a specific some of the object data, like here. If you want to do that work, that will be as a body into the row. I simply paste it. Now only I want to update one. Okay, I simply update like as a price for a specific some of the ID, like I just copy it. Okay, that is our total name as API products. Here I have also name it same as a products, and then there is a ID. Okay, so into this ID like as a one ID price I want to update. So right now in our one ID price, before I updated with the put method as a 200, now I want to update it as a 500. Okay, I make it as a 500. So I want to update this value. So first of all I want to do, we have to find this, right? That will be just like that same before. I have already done the same job. Like I take one of the variable as an index variable. Okay, into this index I have already all that our data. You can see there is the same things right now. That is every data, array data in our products, right? So that will be as a products, and with this products, then our method name as a find index method. So into this find index method, here we have to pass that product, and product will be match. That means it should be check in our array, right? So that will be as a products. prod. So into this product I want to access that our product array ID data, when that will be matched with our requested ID. Requested ID, if you want to access this ID, then you have to make it our request. So that is a request, and then the params, right? Params ID. So I simply get it. I hope you already remembered that part. That is in our array. Into the array they have some of the value. That means that is all that our array value. Here it will be check out this ID, and when it will match with our requested ID, then I want to get this data, I take the things with this variable. If we don't get any ID, then that will be return one of the -1 value. Okay, so for the -1 I have already done it before. The same condition I put on the if condition. Okay, I put on the if condition, and when our this index, okay, index, when this will be returned as equal as a -1, okay, -1, then I want to return some of the error message. That will be as a return, and return one of the response message. That will be response status. Our status I want to pass it as a 404. Okay, friend, and then I want to make it as some of the JSON data. So that will be as a JSON. I simply loaded this JSON data in here. Okay, now into this JSON area I want to into the JSON format I want to pass that our message. So that will be as a message. Our message will be I want to display the same things. Actually, you can see I have already done the same things. That will be same. I copy it, and then that will be written on the message as a product is not found with this ID. So if you get any issues, that means if you don't get any our ID, then that will be display or this message, and else when it will be get our specific all the data, that means when that will be find a specific ID data, get the things with this variable as index, right? So before I have already done it, you can also get it by the index, and then our requested body name, the price. But here there is also another function I want to use it with this object and the spread. We can actually do this work very easily. I show you like here. Then you have to do, after that I take first of all declare of the object. Okay, I name it as the update product, and then I simply call this update product. And now first of all I want to get all that our products data, every our array data. I have already take it with which variable. I have take it with the products, right? So I simply declare one of the object, and into this object, okay, into this object with the spread. Okay, with this spread I want to access that products. Okay, with this spread I expect that our products, and then it will be get our specific find out ID data, and then I take the things in here, right? So I simply pass it our index, and also I want to get that our body data. So I again with the add that as a spread. I have already discussed about that things with you. Spread will be actually distinguish all that your object value. That means it will be spread all that your key and then value differently. Like first of all I want to take our requested body. That will be the requested body. So what exactly this data will be returned? But I show you, it will be actually return this type of one of the things, like here. Okay, like here, that will be one of the array, and it will be get that our key as a name, and then also it will be get that our string value. Okay, string value like as a apple. Okay, and also I pass another one as a price. Okay, price will be one of the numeric value. It will be price like as a right now as a 200. Right now our price here, our price as a 200. So first of all, with this index, it should be actually get this data. That means when you pass as a one ID, it should be get our one ID data like that way. Okay, and then I pass that as a requested body. Requested body means it should be actually get our this data. Okay, that means this data I have updated, right? So now it should be again add this data. That means here, then it should be add another one as a price. Okay, price, and then this price will be right now I make it as a 500 for education purpose. Okay, so here I make it as a 500. So when it should be get this data, here I also spread, and it should be replace it. Okay, it should be replace our previous one, and then that will be replaced with our new one. Okay, that means our price will be updated as a 500. Then that will be actually display that things like that way. So that is the simple things we want to do, right? So better I want to show you, like here right now I want to return it. Okay, I want to return, and then the response, our response, that will be as a JSON data, right? That will be the JSON data, and JSON area here I want to pass our this object. Okay, object name, I name it as a update product, so I simply pass it in here. Okay, friend. So here now that will be updated. That means it will be replaced with our new value. Now we have to do in our new value, we have to add that in our index, right? Here we have to add it. So if you want to add it, simple work I'm going to do. Okay, I want to simply that is our products. That is our products. So into the product area, our index value will be updated. So that will be as an index. Okay, our index value will be updated in our which place, that is our update product. Okay, so here that will be updated. So friend, that's all. Now if you click as a save all, if you now go to our Postman, before that was as a price 200 for our specific one ID. Now in our one ID specific our this price, here I want to update that our value as a 500. Now if you click as a send, now you can see it's not updated, right? It's not update any data. It's because of all here, that is one of the text. You can see I have already passed it. I have passed it as a, that will be one of the JSON data. So here make that sure you have to make it as a JSON. Right now you can see that is our JSON data, and also you can see I use that as a get method. So that will be obviously as a patch method. Okay, I make it as a patch method. Now that should be updated our this value. Now click as a send. Yes, you can see it's now successfully updated our price. So before our price was as a 200. Now if you click as a send it again, yes, you can see our price is successfully updated as a 500. Okay, so a specific some of the field data I simply updated with the patch method. A specific one ID data I updated, and now you can see it's now successfully updated. Okay, our price is now updated. I hope friend you get some of the idea how much easily you can use that input method and then the patch method. In our next video there is another two of this as a delete a specific product data. Okay, that means right now they have the, if you go to our all product, there is a one ID, there is a two ID. So if you want to delete a specific one ID data, how can delete it? If you want to delete all the data, how can delete it? Step by step I will show you that things with the live example. In this video our another features as a delete a specific product data. So a specific product data means if you go to our all data, right now they have the two data is a ID 1, another is the ID 2. Right, I want to delete one ID data, or rather than if you want to delete the two ID data, you can actually delete it. Okay, specific some of the data I want to delete. If you want to delete, then our procedure will be same. Here, first of all, we have to add that as an app, and then the delete method. Okay, so that is our delete method, and then we have to add that our endpoint. That means our path will be as an API, and then I make it as a products, and after that products, then also we have to pass one of the ID, right? That means which ID you want to delete, and then our request handler. So I simply loaded that our request handler, and into this request handler it will be passed two of this parameter. One is the request, right? One is the request and also another is the response. So I simply pass both of these and then our functional array, and that is our functional array. So here, first of all, what exactly we have to do? We have to simple work. Here, first of all, we have to check our ID. That means in our array specific, this ID will be matched with our requested ID, right? Better I want to create another request for this. Here, I just simply click as add request, and that will be for, I make it as a specific, okay? Delect a specific product. I name that this type of one of the name as a delect for a specific product. Click as a save all. That means right now it should be created. You can see it's created. So first of all, our route will be as a API and then ID. Our ID will be just like that same. Better I want to do to copy it. Okay, copy it, and that will be one of the delect method. So I simply make it as a delect, and localhost IP products, I want to delect one ID. Okay, here I pass that as a ID, so you can actually pass one ID. Then after that, if you click as a send, one ID will be delected from our total list. Okay, right now they have the only two ID. If you want to delect the two ID data, then you have to make it as a 2, right? So now first of all, we have to execute it, right? We have to execute it. For doing this, I want to do, we have to find out our this ID. So if you want to find out this ID, then that will be the same process that I have done a lot of the time. I take one of the constant variable and I just name it as a product. Okay, I name it as a product, and then with our every data right now in our which position, every data in our products, right? Because here we have to access our array value. Our array value, I name it with the products. Great. I copy it, then that will be our product. So now with this product, I want to go and to find it. So that will be the find method. So with this find method, I want to name it as a products. Okay, products, and then when our with these products, when that will be matched with our ID, that means requested ID. So equal our requested ID. Requested ID means what? That is our requested ID. Right? So that is our array ID. Array ID means that is actually our array ID, right? When this array ID will be matched with our this requested ID, then that will be delected. Simple work. So that is our array ID data, and when it will be matched with our this requested ID, if you want to access this ID, then what exactly you have to do? That will be as a request, and then the params, right? Params ID. Then we will get that our requested ID. Great. So I simply take it with our variable as a product variable. Okay, and also if you want to add some of the validation message, like if we not get any ID, like if you want to make it as a like as a 5 ID or 55 ID. So right now in our list there have no ID as a 55, right? So then that will be display one of the error message. If you want to do that work, simply add one of the if condition. I simply added that if condition into this condition area. Here I want to do when that will be not get any products. Okay, that means that is our products. Okay, so when it will be not get any products, then I want to return some of the message. Message means I have already done. You can see this type of one of the message, then that will be displayed. But I copy it, and after that I want to do and to paste it. Okay, it will be return of the response. Status message will be as a 404. That will be on the JSON data, and message will be as a product is not found. Okay, product is not found with this ID. This type of one of the message, then that will be display. Great. And after that, when we get this data, now we have to delect it with a specific one of the area, right? So now I want to get all the things from our array. So I take another constant variable, I name it as an index. Same procedure actually, same procedure. That will be the products, and then with this product, that will be the find index method. With this find index method area, here same with this products, I name that as a products, and then our products ID. Okay, that is a products ID. When that will be match equal our requested params ID. When it will be match, I take the things with this variable as an index, right? Because we have to delete it from to the index. So I simply take it into the index, and then I want to do and to return it. Okay, that means here I also want to return our which data, that is our response data, response JSON data. JSON data will be our this product data, right? So I have already take it. So this product data will be delected, and also we have to delect how many things you want to delect. I want to delect one data only. Okay, here if you want to pass this type of another condition, there is another condition method as a splice method. Remember, now I want to do that is our products. So now we do this product because in our array all the data here, that is our all that array data, I take it with our this variable as a products, right? Now here from to this position I want to do and to remove only one. When you click as a do to a specific to ID, one data will be delected. So you can actually make it with the splice method. So that will be a splice, and there is a splice method. Okay, with this splice method, and then from to the index I want to delete it as a only one. Okay, that means one only data will be delected. Great. I hope friend every part is very much clear to you. So that's all you have to do. Now let's check this out. If you now click as a save all, okay, click as a save all, server is now running. Like right now I want to delete as a 2id data. Okay, so that is our delete method. Our delete method is selected and our URL will be the same, and here I want to delete as a 2id data. Okay, so if you want to make it as a 2, and now if you click as a send, yes, you can see that is perfectly get that ID as a 2id data. That means this ID is already deleted. If you want to search it again, like this already deleted, you can see for the reasons it's now display as a product is not found in your ID. So our this validation message is now successfully displayed. And now if you also want to check it, if you want to check it in our get method, before that was as a 2id data, now click as a send it. Now you can see it's now display only one ID. So that is our only one ID data. That means 2id data is now successfully deleted from our list. Okay friend, I hope it's very much clear to you. In our next video, I will discuss about our another last part as a, if you want to delete all data, okay, how can delete it. In our next video, I will show how to delete our all data. That means right now they have the one data, so I also want to delete everything from here. So if you want to delete it, first of all, better I want to create another request. Click as a add request, I make it as a delete all. Okay, delete all. So this type of another request, save it, click as a select it, that will be obviously one of the delete method. I simply delete it, and then here only we have to do, we don't need to pass any ID. Okay, directly our when you access that our products, then that will be deleted all that our data. So now let's create this our route, and that means here that is our delete data. Okay, so I want to do simple, that is very easy. I take that app and that will be as a delete method, and it will delete our URL. Our URL path will be as a API, and then that will be as a product. Okay, products. Okay, products. And great. So here we don't need to pass any ID, but we need to pass that our request handler, our parameter as a request, and also the response, and then our array function, and that is our function. Okay, so into this area, what exactly you have to do? I want to delete all data, right? If you want to delete all data, that means our array name here, that is our array as a product, right? These products, all the data will be removed. That means I want to make it as a empty. Okay, so if you want to make it as a empty, then you have to do like that is our request response, and here I want to do with our products, and then with our splice method. Okay, splice, that is a splice method, I want to make it as a empty. Empty means as a 0. Okay, then that will be as a 0. So now simple work here we have to do, we have to return it. Then we will return our response data, response JSON data. I want to make this JSON, which data? I want to make this JSON or is products data. Okay, now that will be as empty. Great. So friend, that's all you have to do. Now if you want to check it, click as a save all. So right now everything is great. There is an API and then products. So when you hit this API, then automatically our total things will be as empty. I show you like here right now, if you click as a send, yes, you can see it's now displayed as empty array data. Okay, now if you go to our list, now click as a send all. Yes, you can see every data is now successfully deleted. That means all data is now deleted. Okay, I hope friend it's very much clear to you how much easily you can delete a specific some of the data, how can delete all data, and that is for our specific data. I have discussed about the patch method, how can update that with the put method, and also there is insert data, and then the show specific product data, everything that is very much important friend. So just don't watch these videos. Also, you have to code with me. Okay, if you code with me, then every part, every step-by-step process will be very much clear to you. And as I told you, literally we'll build multiple advanced projects, so everything will be needed so much. Here you can say I have used that status code as a 404, but when you perfectly get all the data, that means right now there is our slash data, right? When it should be perfectly get our total data, then that will be response one of the status code as a 200. So there is the different type of status code, like if when you perfectly get some of the data, that will be display one of the status code. When you should be get some of the bad request, then that will be display another status code. And also when it should be not get any data, then that will be as a 404. That means it's not get any data, as a page not found. Okay, so different type of actually status code, and with this status code you can actually able to understand what type of issue is that. Okay, like when you get that as a 200, as I told you before, here when you pass, I have already created one of the route as a slash route, right? In this slash route area, when it should perfectly get this data, like I just show you here, that is our total API. Okay, I make it as a right now as a our home route. Okay, that is a home route. Now click as a send. Now that should be displayed as a high aryan. And when it should be get our perfect data, then you can see our status code is displayed as a 200 as okay. Okay, that is a 200. So if you want to manually pass this data, you can also pass it. Then only you have to do after that response, here you have to pass that as a status. Okay, status. Then that will be also perfectly pass that status. Whatever the status is in here, that will be pass it. And also I have discussed about another one. Just simply remember all that status code, because with this status codes you are able to get that idea what type of problem is that. Like there is a 404. 404 means it's when it should be not get any data, then that will be displayed as a 404 status codes. Okay, here then that will be displayed as a 404 status code. That means it's not get any data. Okay, it's not find any data. And also there is another status code as a 400 status code. 400 is actually used for when you get any bad request. That means if there have any issues in your request, then that will be displayed as a status code as a 400. Okay, simply just remember 400 status code is for the bad request, and when you get perfectly all the data, then that will be displayed as a 200. And when you get that as a 404, that means then it's not get any data, so then that will be displayed as a 404. And also when you create any data, okay, when you create any data, then that will be actually by default display one of the another status code as a 401. And also they have the different type of status code, like as a 201. 201 used for the created any data. Okay, when it should be created any data, then that will be pass one of the return response as a status code will be as a 201. And also there is another one as a 204. Okay, 204, that means our status code will be as a 20 and then 4. 204, when you will get this type of one of the status code in your this status area, that means it's not get that content. Okay, that means they have no content, then it will be written one of the this type of one of the status code as a 204. Okay, simply remember all that status codes, because literally that will be needed if you, that is actually helpful if you understand it, because you are a programmer, you should know about that what type of signal is that. With this code you can actually get some of the idea. If you search into the Google with the status, okay, status code, you can see there is a lot of the status code. Actually you will get a lot of the status code in here. Like if you go to that HTTP response status code, okay, you can see there is a different type of status code. There's a 100 as a continue, there is a 200 is okay, 201 is created. As I told you, for 201 when it should be get this type of one of the status code in here, that means that is actually as a created. This one is for the accept. 203 is for as a non-authenticative information. 204 you can say when you should get that as a 204, then that will be displayed as a no content, and 205 as a reset content. So you will just get a lot of the code. Okay, just remember all that code, because it will actually helpful. You can see that when it should be get that as a 400, that means the bad request. Bad request means the server could not understand the request due to invalid syntax. Okay, I will recommend it to just simply understand all that code is very much important. So better to understand some of the common all that status code. Okay, so that is actually the status code. With this status code, as I told you, you will be able to understand what type of issues you are facing.